in none other than the New York Times this morning. He admonished President Obama for calling America exceptional. In his speech on Tuesday night, he writes, a strike would increase violence and it would unleash a new wave of terrorism. It goes on to say, quote, it is alarming that military intervention in internal conflicts in foreign countries has become commonplace for the United States. Is it in America's long-term interest, writes Putin? I doubt it, he says.
Leland Vitter picks up our coverage there. There are meetings again today in Europe. You're in our Middle East Bureau in Jerusalem. What is Putin trying to accomplish here, Leland?
It seems really he is trying to restage Russia, Bill, in terms of framing it as a superpower. Remember, President Obama went to Egypt, where he gave a speech to the Muslim world saying he wanted to speak directly to the Muslim people, came to Israel talking about his view for Middle East peace in a public speech, also went to Germany at the Brandenburg Gate and talked about nuclear weapons. Often he was criticized as being arrogant, perhaps strident during his conversation lecturing the world. President Putin is now seeing how it plays back in Peoria in the United States with this op-ed piece. Of course, President Putin and Obama have often had a very icy relationship, even hostile, but this editorial warns that U.S. military action, if done unilaterally, could have grave consequences. He talks about the collapse of the United Nations. He says it could unleash waves of terrorism around the world, goes after U.S. policy that he says it could put in jeopardy, including the Israeli-Palestinian peace talks, the Iranian nuclear action. It is headlined a plea of caution from Russia. Forget the United States for a minute. This is really a much broader statement by Vladimir Putin that once again the Russians would like to be seen on the world stage truly as a superpower on par with the United States. Bill?
On the ground, what does this change, if anything, Leland?
Well, so far, the standoff is still happening in the Mediterranean. You have the U.S. warships there. You also have the Russian warships. They just recently dispatched one of their carrier killer destroyers, something that is designed to take out the U.S. trump card when it comes to a blue water navy. But really, you got to look at this in the focus of the negotiations over Syria's chemical weapons. That is what is on the table right now. Those negotiations happen in Geneva over the next couple of days between the U.S. Secretary of State and the Russian foreign minister to figure out if there can be a deal made about Russia's chemical weapons. And now it really views the Russians and the Americans as eye to eye here. Who will blink first? Already, President Putin has said that any deal has to mean the U.S. taking a military strike off the table. We'll see if the U.S. is willing to give that up so far. Bill?
We did not know yesterday what would happen today, and frankly, these headlines sometimes are stunning. Leland Vitter, thank you. Middle East Bureau there in Jerusalem. Martha.